So I thought for the fun of it, I would start a yearly video series depicting the best in furry art of the past year. At the end of the video, let me guys know what you think. But for now, let's get started. Starting off, we have a lovely and unique depiction of a bonding moment between father and son, with soft lighting, fitting character designs, and poses that leave a sense of chemistry between the father and son duo. Tail twisting is a sweet and refreshing depiction of a bond between family. Despite not having a genuine name, this piece displays a lovely depiction that anyone can enjoy. That moment when someone you love loves you back and is first acted upon is a surprising and tender moment, and is captured here perfectly. The creamy fall background along with the seasonally appropriate apparel on the part of the characters is just icing on the cake to this lovely depiction of young love. A very late add-on to the list, the start of a journey represents a very special moment that any artist since childhood can relate to. Despite a lack of design, just the joyful expression in the young fox's face alone is enough to warm the hearts of anyone who view it. Off the bat, the first thing that really grabs me about this piece is the jaguar character and how his anatomy is structured. Something that people tend to forget, especially from the point of view of those who don't really draw or paint, is how well the real-life anatomy of a creature was captured and adjusted to meet the structural standards by which the artist is basing the character off of. In this case, the jaguar's feet are a little too large and its legs are actually quite small, giving me the feeling that the jaguar stands more on its hind paws, which in real life isn't too far off from the antler character's more real-life counterpart. Beyond that, there really aren't too many other negatives. Personally, I really like the display of the muscular development in the forearms, as well as the skeletal structure around the back and the protruding neck are quite realistic, something that I don't see too often in a lot of work displaying antler anatomy. I also enjoy the positives of the spot patterns and the eye color. The ancient Inca clothing is a fitting creative decision that complements the character in his natural habitat, and whose background gives a rather nostalgic feeling of the primitive, foggy landscapes that were often depicted in various cartoons, books, and movies that depicted said landscapes. And the warm sunlighting coming in gives a warm feeling of a spring's day. The Secret Springs does in fact project a rather warm feeling of peace and tranquility. Power, strength, confidence, attitude, these are just some of the characteristics that this excellent piece of fan art by Ken Kett embodies. While not much is shown in terms of anatomy, it leaves a lot to the imagination, which makes it all the more intriguing. One can feel a sense of strength in Cinnaroar's hands, and a sense of personality in his cunning smile and piercing yellow eyes, all three of which is benefited by the aid of the cleverly placed lighting from Cinnaroar's flame belt, or, as the artist prefers to call it, his, quote, ambient crotch glow. Still, this is a piece that will manage to catch the full attention of all who even catch just a slight glimpse of it. From the artist Aru comes a piece of a rather unsettling, yet curiously intriguing nature. Fog is a great example of how sometimes less is more. Efficiently using the pale moonlight and silhouetted trees to create a spooky, unsettling atmosphere provides the perfect setting for the werewolf creature we see in front of us. With glowing white eyes and a pose that makes us uncertain of his next move, whether it be a deer in headlights about to run away, or perhaps a tiger about to pounce on its next prey, either way, the large structure of the creature and the authenticness of his bending limbs makes him look threatening all on his own. Fog is a piece that can be best described as simple but effective. Here we have a piece very reminiscent to that of the style made popular by Warner Brothers cartoons. However, It is how the artist took that style and made it into her own that makes it so unique. Using a more watercolor-based format instead of the more traditional acrylic, the artist, JuneDuck21, is able to possess a much stronger control on defying light values, giving the warmth of a summer's day to her piece. The scene also gives a sense of character through the dingo's calm expression and positioning, making the location of a beach all the more fitting. It is definitely a piece one can't help but be relaxed by. A similar concept to Dingo on the Beach, Afternoon Lounging is a piece of warmth and comfort. The soft, creamy lighting complements the room perfectly, and the usage of such items such as the tea set, the chair he's sitting in, and the book he's holding makes the piece all the more likable by being relatable, being a situation that anybody would love to be in. Like many of the works from Paco Panda, this piece does a wonderful job in capturing the joyous occasions of innocence and youth. Fireflies in particular is benefited with a cleverly and appropriate light source, along with some very unique looking characters, whose expressions of pure joy should be more than enough to warm the hearts of anyone. However, if that's not enough for you, then the depiction of a childhood experience offering a heavy dose of nostalgia should be more than enough to suffice. Another piece from Olafsson, this time depicting a scene less tribal and more Renaissanic in nature, depicting a joyful scene of jester performances and gypsy dancers. It is a furry recreation of the real-life Feast of Fools celebrations that took place in Europe during the 13th and 16th century. While the attention to detail in historical aspects such as the clothing and the minor display of architecture is noteworthy, it is the backstory that I feel gives this piece heart and brings it to life. The backstory being that the Ode player depicted here is actually Olafsson's character, Sadi, a former thief turned straight, who is now a regular member of society. After being welcomed and accepted into the society, she is encouraged by friends and the rest of the community to be more outgoing. What results is the joyful scene depicted here that displays a wonderful sense of celebration, new beginnings, personal growth, and acceptance. While probably not the original intention of the artist, it's a piece that is of an uplifting and inspiring quality. Another excellent piece of Pokemon fan art, yet again from Ken Kett, comes to us this time in the form of the 4th generation Pokemon, Shinx. With an anatomy resembling that of a young lion cub, the artist's choice to base the facial structures off of a young Simba was both a humorously delightful add-on, as well as an impressive showing of artistic ability, by taking 2 characters from 2 different backgrounds, drawn in 2 different styles, from 2 different franchises, and have them fused together in a way that feels both lifelike and natural for the character itself. While the composition leaves very little to the imagination, the expression on the young Shinx's face gives us an idea as to the kind of fun, mischievous adventures the young lion cub is about to get himself into. While subjects displaying a medieval theme are not uncommon in the works of Wilder, so few I have found have been able to capture the emotional turmoil of a character as well as this one. With the backstory being of that of an imperial officer who is being forced to leave her position after accusations of being a spy solely on her race alone, is a sensitive subject that can remind the viewers of some of humanity's more darker traits. Hate, discrimination, betrayal, distrust. Just some of the few things that come to my mind. The character's expression speaks of feelings of anger, rage, heartbreak, disgust, all while she walks off into the oncoming night, bringing her career and everything she knew to an end with the falling sun. While technically a poster for the upcoming Furry Pinez convention in June, the subject of posters being considered as actual artwork is something that I accept for this video. Now regarding the piece itself, its simple but effective composition gives a sense of a warm summer's day. However, I'm not quite sure about the light source and where it's coming from. Judging by how the characters are highlighted in this piece, it feels rather all over the place. But the more subtle details, such as the faded clouds against the more pink clouds and the colorful, vibrant colors on the shirts, surfboards, and sails, are something that I'm sure anybody would see on such items, and it does help to give a sense of realism to the piece itself. To me, this would certainly put the warmth and excitement of a summer's day in the minds of anybody, and for anyone attending the Furry Pianas convention, I'm sure it'll certainly put the excitement in their minds as well for the upcoming fun. A piece that is humble, down to earth, and a real feel-good of sorts. This untitled piece by Timmery presents a relatable situation to anyone wanting or even needing a change of scenery from their usual workstation in order to find new inspiration. The canine's warm expression is one of security, and the wide open spaces by which he is surrounded in offers a sense of freedom, creative freedom in this case, and that the world around him is just one to take in and appreciate. Certainly a piece that can inspire just as well as it can depict it. A work of art that stands on its own. Armoring Up by Tirika is a piece that displays both strength and delicacy through the cheetah's pose and structure. On that note, the artist captured a near perfect structure and built it up accordingly. Armoring Up leaves a lot to the imagination, as we're left to wonder what conflict is this cheetah about to get himself into, what war or battle. It is a piece that'll leave the viewer in both curiosity and awe. A piece of art whose style is very reminiscent to that of the look and plot of Disney movies, in the sense of taking an animal and putting them in the shoes of a character whose role is usually filled by a human. Drifter is a piece that gives the viewer an idea as to the kind of character this sleeping dog is. Named Stubborn, and based on the artist's comic Up and Above, Stubborn is a risk-taking, adventurous, kind-hearted character who enjoys getting himself into these kinds of situations. A fitting situation indeed, as we're left to wonder as to how the sleeping dog will get himself out of the situation. The realistic anatomy, mixed in with the more cartoonish facial features, helps to give a more cinematic feel to the piece as a whole. Something more adorable in nature from Timmery, we see a wonderful display of friendship, humor, and creative thinking. We see two polar opposites being able to share the skies together, something that for them was probably not possible before. While the arrangement of light and dark values are a little odd to me personally, especially around the abdomen of the characters, it's the weather conditions in conjunction to the lighting that makes the scenery so unique to me, which draws me more into the scenery itself than the actual characters. Not to take anything away from the artist because of that, for it's altogether a dynamic relationship for how natural the characters look in a rather unusual situation, displaying what great character design can do. Another piece from Tirika that displays a gorgeous mix of both beauty and strength, as well as a sense of patience and alertness. Here we see a tigress carefully planning out her next move. While the anatomy is arguably a little too large in a not too noticeable area, it's both the pose and setting of the tigress, as well as the setting by which she is placed in, that to me draws people away from the proportions and leaves them more focused on the delicate nature of the character, as well as the fitting color arrangement. Along with that, one can also appreciate the tasteful nudity depicted in the scene as well, as is the case with a lot of Tirika's work. Hunting, too, is a piece that not only displays the beauty of Anther work, but also the quality it can possess. Wrapping things up, we have a third and final piece from Ken Kett. A piece of art that can not only grab the attention of somebody, but would also allow them to appreciate everything about it. Ken Kett provides a more realistic anatomy for Todd, while leaving his more Disney-like features intact. The light source is warm and soft, and the light and dark values are complemented by it. The background is strongly reminiscent to that of the actual backgrounds in the Fox and the Hound movie, and is made to feel more impressive when you remember that this is actually on canvas and not the more traditional cell-based paper of the original movie. Lastly, Todd's expression, I feel, can bring out not only the warmth in somebody, but remind them of the magic of Disney movies, and remind them of the warmth and magic of their own childhood. that was the best of Furry Art 2018. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And if you liked it, you know what to do. Thanks again.